Welcome everybody to Jankowski Speed and Off-Road. We're going to be doing a two-part series on putting disc brakes in this 60 Chevy Bel Air. It's a Right Stuff kit. This episode will be for the rear brakes, and coming up shortly, hopefully, we'll have the front brakes in the master cylinder. Enjoy. Alright, so your Right Stuff kit will come in a few boxes. This isn't all of them. It probably came in about 6 boxes, I want to say. I took some of it out. Master cylinder I actually have up here. It's a dual master cylinder to replace the single pot master cylinder. I am going to convert it to power brakes. We have the rear brake set here. I think that's the discs for the front. And my toolbox is a little dirty, but 2-inch drop spindles. Comes with new seals and bearings. Those are all 4 brake calipers. And then I did get these tall upper ball joints. That's just to help correct the geometry, make it handle a little better. And then yeah, I do have these Ridetech 2-inch lowering springs for the rear. And I will be measuring the height of this before I do it and after. Those springs may have settled, you know, over many years. They're the originals. I'm going to see if it actually drops it any or how much it drops it. We'll check the height of the front here. So the front, we're at 26 3/4 of an inch right now before we drop it. And we'll check the back here. In the back, we're sitting at 20 1/4 inches. So once we get that all in, we'll recheck, see how high this is. All right, we're gonna start with the rear. I'm gonna jack it up and put jack stands under it. We'll pull the wheels off. And then highly recommend a mat to kneel on, or if you have a lift, that's great. I wish I had a lift someday. So yeah, we'll get the brakes apart and we'll look at the instructions that came with it and see how we need to do this. These do come with an instruction manual. Shows everything you need to do. I think it even has all the parts that it's supposed to have in it. Yeah, let's try to get this drum off here. That one does spin freely. I may have to back those shoes off. Well, maybe I'll try the actual tool for this. There we go. There we go. All right. So if you're doing the passenger side rear, to back it off, put it in the hole and push it down, the outside of it down. If you go the other way, you're going to tighten it up. There we go. The instructions say that if it's not a C-clip rear end, which is what this is, it's not a C-clip rear end, you should be able to undo. There's 4 nuts on the back. Slide out the axle, and then you should be able to take the whole drum, or the whole backing plate with the shoes off as one piece. You don't have to take everything apart on it. So we'll see if that's actually true. We're under the car now. We're gonna undo the brake line, which I've already sprayed with some knocker loose. See if this comes off. It'd be really nice if it just came off. Oh, it did. Perfect. That almost never happens. Or if it does loosen up, the line spins with it. That's awesome. And it looks like on this one, this is a 3/8 nut for the brake line. That was my elbow. Let's see if any brake fluid runs out of here. It was pretty dry. And I don't hear anything. All right, so these nuts on the back that are retaining the axle on here, 9/16. Oh yeah, and they're coming off nice. Well, this one is anyway. We'll see what the rest of them do. So all of the nuts came off really well, except for one that fought me. I had knocker loose on it, just kind of a penetrant. I'd let that soak. All of those had soaked for a few hours before I started this. You'll watch me struggle on this this last nut. It wasn't very fun, but you know what? It didn't go too bad. All right. Try to run it back out again. This is where I'm going to punch myself in the face or punch something. See, this is how it usually goes. I just don't want to break it. So I'm fairly certain we have to reuse that. Run it back in again. Give it another little spray here. Try it again. I'll lay the other direction because I feel like I'm gonna, if that breaks, I am punching myself in the jaw. I don't feel like doing that. Oh, all right. Okay, let's try to pull this axle out. I did throw a pan under here just because I don't know if anything's going to come out when I pull that axle out. Right, be that easy. Okay, so that came out. I think we are pulling the bearing out finally. Let's see. There. I think we got it now. So I'll take a pry bar and try to stick it back in here. There it is. There's your axle. And one thing I am going to see is with that axle, the wheel studs are pretty short. When you get a actual rotor on it, I don't think they're going to be long enough, so they're going to have to be pressed out and longer ones put in, pretty sure. They do give a disclaimer for that. We also have to see if the bolt holes are going to work for this rear end kit. They send you a rear end kit, but they do say that you may have to swap it for a different bolt size. So that's another thing that I'm not sure about yet. All right, so this kit shows, it's hard to see there, but you're going to measure the spread of the bolt holes for the rear axle, and they do have it in American units. Let's see. This kit is for axles with a 3 3/8 spread, center to center. If it has a 3 1/8 spread, that kit's not going to work, and they give you the number for the other kit, and you got to call and all that stuff. So I measured mine. See if I can get it in here a little closer. This one is 3 3/8, so this kit will work for that. So now we just need to get that one together. On their instructions, it shows longer bolts going through the flange for the axle. If you remember, when I took those out, those bolts didn't turn. And it looks like just kind of hammered on one. They're pressed in. You need to remove 3 of them. Leave the one that you need. I think it's this guy right here. I'll have to look. That'll be the one you leave, but you need the other 3 to attach the caliper bracket to. So you're gonna need longer bolts for that. So yeah, you'll have to hammer out 3 of those. All right, hammered out 3 of them. There is a gasket on here, so I am going to scrape that off. And the instructions and nothing that came with it came with nothing. It didn't come with a gasket. So I'm not sure if it needs it or not, because the bearing does have a O-ring on it, which I probably should replace, but I'm probably not going to. So then, you know, when I'm a long ways away from home, it'll start leaking. Okay, so my camera died. Got to charge back up here. I did kind of set this together here. So this is the passenger rear. They want you to take this plate, this dust shield, put it like that, with this at the 10 o'clock position pointing at the back of the car. And then we do have the bolts pulled out of this. We just have the one left in there for the bottom corner. So we're gonna slide that axle in, and then we'll have to run, I do have supplied hardware here, these bolts here, run them through there. And then they do come with these spacers, but the instructions say that if you're using the dust covers, to not use the spacers. They are thicker than the dust covers. It's just to take up the space that the backing plate for the drum used to be, where that was at before. So let's see if we can slide this all together. Comes with washers, but it doesn't show a washer being on this side as it goes through here. I'm guessing that's right. I'll run 3 bolts in here, maybe. There we go. There it is. And then you have your bracket, which goes on those 3 bolts. Like so. So they give you a diagram of how they want it done, which is weird because I do see that the dust shield's on there and it looks like there's a plate in there, but they said not to use it, so we're just gonna try it and see if everything lines up. Guessing it's gonna be 9/16. I'm gonna need a wrench because now there's nothing to hold that bolt. Yep, 9/16. These must be locking nuts. Are they? Oh yeah, they do have a little nubs on there. See if this bearing needs to get tapped in more. That might actually be what it was. Those lock nuts are still really hard though. Yeah, I don't know. I think even though the instructions say that those plates aren't supposed to be in there when these dust shields are put in, the drum brake backing plate is way thicker, like way thicker. And if I can get in here, there's still a heck of a gap in there that it does look like that would take care of it. So this is all gonna have to come back apart so I can put this in. Might have to do this another time. Kind of ran out of time for today, so I'll catch you back when I have more time. All right, and we're back. It's probably been about 2 weeks since I've worked on this. It's just life's been really busy. So we're gonna try finish up that rear brake there and get a little more done today. All right, we're gonna pull this back apart again and see if we can't, we'll have to pull the axle and everything too, see if we can get that that plate in there to take up that gap. means I have to undo everything I did. I'm going to stick that on. Take up that gap. Thought that looked big. Man, I'll have to do that one by hand. Oh. Man, I should be wearing gloves. Okay, finally, it's on. Okay, if we look at this, it says, before installing the rotor, dress the center hub with steel wool or a wire brush. Slide the rotor over the studs and tighten it down with 2 or 3 lug nuts occasionally. The center opening in the rotor is too small to slide over the hub, which looks like that's the issue we're having here. You'll need to enlarge it slightly with a die grinder or a file. We'll see what we can come up with. You'll be able to see here once I put this on what they're talking about. if I can get down here. So the hub's clean. We have the rotor right here. I'll slide it on. And it's just barely too small to fit over the hub. So it's not a lot you need to take off. So we'll grind a little bit of that out. All right, we're set up to grind the center of this rotor out. I have a die grinder right here. You gotta be wondering, John, where did you get this sweet workbench from? The city gave it to me. I can't believe it. So let's grind this out. We're gonna throw some protection on here because I don't want to lose my eyesight. I would suggest probably not going too crazy. Grind down a little bit and then go recheck every so often until it slides on. You don't want to take too much off. But yeah, we're gonna have to keep going a little bit to grind the center out just a little more. Okay, the rotor is now on, and I have it snugged up with 3 lug nuts. It did take quite a bit of grinding to get it to fit on there. So it is going to take a little bit of time, but just take your time and it'll fit. Next up, we're going to install the caliper. You can tell that it's for the rear because of the parking brake. And this one is for the right side, has an R on it. But when you install it, you should also look at, when you put it in, the brake bleeder always has to be on the top. If the brake bleeder is on the bottom, it will not, you won't be able to bleed it and you won't have any brakes. So yeah, let's try get this put on here. And hopefully it just lines up. The instructions say if the pad contacts on the inside, you're gonna have to add shims to the caliper mount, which means all of those bolts are going to have to come back off. And I really don't want to do that. So hopefully this will work. Oh, and these do come fully loaded. There's already pads in it, as you can see. Little technical difficulty, but let's try this again. And if anybody's wondering, I hurt my knee. So, not just now, I hurt my knee a little while ago. So it's hard for me to get up and down. Starting to get old. Speaking of getting old, there's a spring in here that holds this back pad on here, and it won't hold. That's why I had to stop to try and get it to clip back in. See if I can do this without it popping out on me. This thing, I don't know what they're trying to do here, but it's mildly infuriating. So, if you can see this, there's a little spring here that goes around the piston and like hooks under it, and then it hooks on top of the pad. And every time I flip it over to put it on, the spring tries to shove the pad down and drop it out. It's kind of annoying. So we're just going to watch me struggle for a little bit. See if I can bend this a little bit to get it to hang on to that piston a little better. Maybe it'll pop off and hit me in the face. I don't know. I'm also trying not to rip the boot for the piston. Let's see here. I think I made it worse. I'm gonna have to, I need to get up. Yes, that's a mess. Let's see if we can get this thing on here. I just bent the crap out of that clip and okay, we didn't let go. We're okay. Everything's okay. I'm gonna have to lay on the ground here. Don't fall out. Don't fall out. Oh, what size is this? If you want to know the Allen wrench size, on the back of those calipers is 3/8. I need a different kind of Allen wrench on that one. Socket style to okay. So it looks like we have enough play back and forth, and we're not really pushing on anything. So that's good. The other side's dragging, and I have this in gear, so it's not going to spin very easy, but yeah. Now if this was too far out, they give you little shims. And what you'd have to do is pull 3 of those bolts that hold this caliper bracket on and take the nuts off, pull the caliper bracket off, put the shims on until you get it so it'll fit right, just so this back pad's not dragging on the rotor. But this one actually fit really well, so we don't have to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other side. I'm not going to bore you with going through it again because it'll be the exact same thing, just on the opposite side. I'm going to show hooking up brake lines and all that. There's actually a tab that you have to weld onto the axle on both sides because you have to have a soft line going to these, and you need somewhere to mount it. So, and then yeah, the parking brake needs to be hooked up yet, but I want to get the other side in, the other brakes on the other side. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, the brake kit on this side's all installed. On the driver's side, went a lot easier because, well, I actually kind of knew what I was doing this time, so I probably cut the time in half. So I think what we're going to do next is install the drop springs in the rear. I mean, we still have to get brake lines and stuff installed, and yeah, you know. Okay, so I have a jack under the rear end right now. I'm going to undo the nuts for the shocks down here on the rear end. Hopefully that'll give us enough play to get the old springs out. Hopefully these nuts come off too. Oh boy. Okay. Well. There we go. Okay. Good, good. Let's see if I can. Oh, got it close. And yes, I know you shouldn't be using a chrome socket on an impact. It's not the greatest idea in the world. I'm going to run this back in. It's got a little bit of junk on the threads. Run it back in to try clean it. I don't want to bust this off. It wouldn't be good. Perfect. Let's do the other side here. Oh man, it's like it wants to get lowered. Okay, those are undone. There is looks like a panhard bar up there. I'm hoping there's enough play in that where I don't have to take that off. That'd be really nice if I didn't have to. I'm gonna lower this jack down and hopefully we'll be able to just have these springs come out. It'd be really nice. Maybe. I don't know how much is left on those springs for tension. Still a bit. Okay. I think I might have to pull that bar off. I think that's what's limiting us right now, to jack it up. That looks good. It's a 7/8. Probably gonna put a breaker bar on it. Just see what we can do here. Well, it loosened up. Good luck, right? So what's nice about a low mileage car, everything comes off decently. I shouldn't say that now because then I'll have a problem. So far, it's been kind of nice. Is this what it's like for you guys down south? Just easy going. There we go. Should have started with that. That bolt is still shiny on the inside. That's nuts. Oh yeah, that thing is pretty stuck on there. Okay, let's try lower this again. Slow it down a bit. Oh, it's loose. I bet a little bit of persuasion, those will pop right out. Just a word of caution, these springs have a lot of power behind them, so be really careful. When they come out, they can really hurt you. It's nothing to mess around with. If you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Boy, those are still in there. And there's not a lot holding them in. It's literally just like a raised area under the bottom and a raised area on the top, and it's just sitting in there. The new ones will be a lot easier to put in. They're much shorter. Yeah, there's still a lot of pressure. Holy cow. Trying to think of what else. It might be the drive shaft that's stopping it from coming down any farther. It's got a 2-piece drive shaft and it looks like it might be hitting the frame right there. I do have a leaking pinion seal. Technically, that drive shaft's gonna have to come out at some point. I might have to do that. I actually figured out if I jacked up on the other side of the rear end that it drooped the other side enough where that spring is essentially almost just sitting in there. So I should be able to, I kind of worked it over already. I'm going to grab something where I can just, from a little bit of a distance, knock it all the way up, because it still has a very small amount of tension on it. Like I said, this is dangerous. Like, be really careful. There it goes. You can see it still had a little bit of pressure on it, so like I said, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, don't do it. And just remember, I'm just some guy. I'm not an expert, so do this at your own, yeah. All right, here's your side-by-side comparison on these springs. The new ones are a lot shorter. They are a little thicker though, so it's probably going to ride a little rougher. It's only supposed to be a 2-inch drop, so we'll see what this thing sits at when we're done. Okay, well, let's see how these springs fit. I'm probably going to have to jack this thing up quite a bit, I bet. Well, maybe not. It is actually jacked up a bit as it sits, but yeah, they're just sitting in there. Yeah. That's exactly what you want to have happen. I didn't know if anybody knew that, but that's actually preferred, that spring falls out. Okay. There it goes. There. Holy crap, how low is this car gonna sit? It's only supposed to be 2 inches. This might, I mean, I want it to sit low. Yeah, no, we'll get this all back together and bolt some wheels back on it. I know I have to, there's a bunch of stuff that has to be done back here, but I want to start on the front. Get that going. Make some headway here. All right, so I ran into another issue. Once you put lowering springs in it, show you what happened with the rear brakes. I had to build a new exhaust because it didn't clear the brakes. The old exhaust came up like that and down. So I pretty much had to rebuild that exhaust. These calipers are not clearing my 15-inch steel wheels that are supposed to clear calipers. And the rear studs are just over a 1/2 inch long. So there are some things to consider. I'm gonna have to punch these out, put longer studs in. For the rear brakes, just to show you everything I did here, there's that flex line. It actually did not come with them, so I ordered flex lines for like I think it's like 80 or 81 Camaro for like the fronts. They fit perfect. I had to weld tabs onto the rear end and then make new brake lines to go up to the distribution block. I had to do the same thing on the other side. The brake line on the other side is on top of the rear end. This one I couldn't fit up there. I kind of don't like the way that it's hanging down, and yes, I know my rear diff is leaking. I also forgot to paint the rear calipers, so they are starting to rust. And then of course I ran all new, it came with new parking brake cables just because it's a different setup. And then I did use, the kit comes with a longer cable that goes all the way through the frame. I don't know if you can kind of see the cable that hooks up and goes across. I'm laying on the ground, so I really can't, it's not a very good view, but the kit said not to use it, but the factory one was too short. Well, the one that comes with the kit is long enough, so I just used that, even though it said not to. But yeah, parking brake, all that works. And yeah, it seems to work just fine. Thank you guys and gals for watching this first episode. Hopefully the next one will be out soon. And yeah, we'll see you then.